Hello, this is Enlightened Trading. My name is Conrad, and today I give you a quick update on Bitcoin. Nothing too important or too major going on. Just that we are now looking at something that could be quite the opposite of what I was looking for, and that looks like a continuation pattern to the downside, which could be playing out as a descending triangle. As you might see, we now could have our confirmation of our third touch. This still is consolidating. I'm not bullish on this run up. I think this will most likely fade away just like this one did. That at least would be the most likely scenario. If this continues to be rejected off of A300, then I will extend this trend line, and then that could match up very nicely. If it just then do it like this, like that would be perfect. If this continues to be rejected, then that would be a descending triangle, and we would look for further downside after this breaking in the mid of October, most likely. But besides that, I wanted to look at the S&P, and I thought this was quite interesting, and I just loaded it up again because my charts should have changed. And S&P, I don't know where my stars went. Those stars, yeah, there they are. Okay, so the daily, yeah, we have like this curving price action. Every time we have like this curving price action, we tend to chop around quite a lot. When we had this back here, where we like came up and then consolidated right at the top, and every time like we have this curving price action, it chops around, forms sort of a bull flag, and then continues. It will be very interesting what is going to happen out of this curving price action. And it's quite interesting to know that although the S&P is holding up nicely, with of course Dow, the Nasdaq, and so forth, interestingly enough, Amazon is actually dropping to lower lows, and that's on a daily, and that is a significant lower low now being rejected of also a quite similar curve which we had right here, or this trend line which is coming up, but still it seems like it's going to be rejected off of resistance. I didn't usually use these curves, but they seem to be useful at some point. What I would though look out for is for Tesla and for Apple. On Apple we have this rising wedge, it seems like, and our moving averages are not really useful right now, so I can just delete them because this is still consolidating price action. So I think this rising wedge will be playing out, and we will see quite a significant drop. That would be of course mostly coinciding with other stocks and the S&P. If this drops and we don't drop too far, or we don't break lower lows right here, I think this could be playing out as an ascending triangle. If this breaks our support line right here of this rising wedge, falls back down, finds support, the other side will then too maybe already be oversold. At least on it should be that, but then on the daily. And then we could see a bounce again to these highs, and that would confirm our rising wedge, and that would be our ascending triangle, and that would be then a very nice buy signal for Apple when we then break our horizontal resistance line of this ascending triangle. But that is of course right far in the future, going into 2020, if this does play out. And of course it depends on what other stocks are doing. Also, what is quite interesting is Tesla. We have our symmetrical triangle forming, and that actually is quite tight getting already. And if we see a break of like 2050, 2048, then we would look at 2056 for a very important support. As you can see, it has been in the past, and actually we would move that down here. I don't know why that was up there. So we would look for two horizontal areas. That would be these about-ish, or more like, yeah, in this area, in this vicinity of like 28.4. But if we break on 24.8, the higher 24.8s, then actually I would look for this to go to the mid 2080s, to the like 2084 for our next resistance. Not looking at too many indicators actually. This is a very side trending and very sideways going stock most of the time, except we get this very tight ranges of course, and we can look for either direction to break. If this does break to the downside, then of course I would look at our recent lows of 181 or 180, and that should be right here. Yeah, of like a 178, my bad. Then we would look for again a retest of this area, and then a bounce off of that. That would be a very nice buy sign to go in the 180s for a short-term upswing. And then we would look for, something like that, maybe a descending triangle forming on the bottom, and another retest of this line, and a breakdown somewhere going into 2020. We would look then for a break of this ascending triangle. But of course this isn't not playing out yet. This is very much looking into the future. This is just very naked trading actually. I found especially on such sideways trending stocks like Tesla and Google, moving averages don't matter too much when you look at daily time frames. At least that's my experience. And yeah, just to also look quickly at Google, something similar to Apple, with our possible ascending triangle. But on Google we already have 3 touches and almost 4 touches of this triangle. And actually we now recently, last week, we broke our support. Or what is this week? This week? No, last week. Yeah. Am I dumb? What have we today? Yeah. Okay. So last week we broke our support of this trend line. We now are retesting it and going like tomorrow and going into the end of this week. I would look actually for a break of 1160 and 1150, and maybe a retest of this rather important trend line actually. Just go to the weekly real quick. You can see there was very important support, and then I will look for a retest of this area. That would also be then oversold on a daily, and it would be a very nice buy signal in the upper 1000s, like 1080 I meant, and then see a rebound of that. Maybe we could use the vortex exponential moving averages. We do have very important support actually coming in. Like in the past, it wasn't too, as you can see, it's not too significant. They still were, because we were in an uptrend and a rather consistent uptrend. But after that, like, we broke below, broke above, broke below, broke above. Now our retesting it again. We have retested it right here, the 100 exponential moving average, and it was important support. And I would look actually to, of course, now for a retest, and it did. So still this trend line and this retest with short-term rejection of it perfectly. Actually, this is just awesome if you can look at this. And I can imagine we close, or we start trading around this gap right here tomorrow, with maybe already like 1.3, 1.5 percent in the red tomorrow starting. So that would be a short-term outlook on Google. Of course, this will then be, in my opinion, a rising wedge if we see a retest and then go once more to the upside. That would be also a very nice buy sign, breaking 126.60. And I would look for entering a position down here in the upper 1000s. I think that would be very, very reasonable. I most likely won't, because I do not trade stocks, but I look at them. And I do maybe I will paper trade some of these stocks, especially when we break support, just to see how I trade, how my positions would have been, and yeah, how they would have performed. And Twitter is one thing which I do not resent, but if you have been following me earlier this year, when I still made videos on YouTube, and before I made a rather big break, where I just stopped basically, I said this was a very textbook in head and shoulders with our shoulder, head and right shoulder, and then a consolidation, which I told you will most likely break to the downside, and I would look for a retest of the support, and then a retest of the support of $20 basically. Well, that didn't happen. We actually continued to do the upside and are in this upward sloping channel, which is sort of a rising wedge, and we retested our support very, very recently and bounced off of it. I don't think this will hold up too long. Somewhere in the future it will break down and mostly retest 340, but I can by then, and I can show you why. You can see, well, it was very important support in the past, like around 336, 340, maybe even above, like 37. Was very important support, and I will at least look for a retest of this area, and maybe even break lower. And yeah, this head and shoulders was, in my opinion, the most likely scenario regarding TA. I don't know what happened fundamentally with Twitter, but yeah, that's just basically like a quick outlook on most stocks. I do not have too much time, sadly. Well, I'm quite tired already. I've been studying most of the day, and will go to work tomorrow. So yeah, quite busy week on my hands, and going into this week, it will it will still be quite busy. So yeah, hope I showed you something maybe new, something you didn't look at. Would be interesting to know what you think. And yeah, hope you have a good night. And I'll see you guys and girls back next time. Bye.